Hi, and welcome back to Scratch. Today we're going to do a live stream on the basics of cast iron care. Um, I know that a couple of you guys have requested this, and I thought maybe we could go over uh, some of the basics for you. Probably the first thing you're going to want to do when you get a new cast iron pan is to season it. And by season it, what I mean is you're going to want to bake on some type of oil. And this is what helps keep your pan non-stick. Before your first seasoning, and this is the only time I'm going to recommend this, you're going to want to wash your pan with warm soapy water. After this first washing, once it's seasoned, you'll never want to use soap on it again. But essentially what you do if you've just got a brand new cast iron pan is go ahead and set your oven to about 400 degrees Fahrenheit, let it preheat. Then you'll want to take some oil and put it on a paper towel. A lot of people recommend flaxseed oil because it creates a much thicker barrier, but if you don't have access to that, any oil will do. You just kind of want to rub it all over. Inside and out for this one. And then you'll want to bake it in the oven until it becomes baked on and forms a thick coating. That's probably going to take about 30 minutes or so. Then you'll probably want to let it cool in the oven so that you don't accidentally burn yourself trying to take it out. When I season a brand new pan, I kind of like to put it upside down in the oven just to help that oil bake on. Now, another question I get a lot with cast iron pans is how do we normally clean them? If nothing too bad gets stuck on your cast iron pan, all you really have to do is just run it under some water in the sink, and then just kind of wipe it out with a paper towel. And then once you're done wiping it out, to dry it, you'll just put it on the stovetop and heat it up just to let that water evaporate. I usually let it go about 4 or 5 minutes, and that's enough to kind of take all the water away. The reason you want to do this is because cast iron can rust, and we will get into that in just a little bit about what to do if it does accidentally rust, and also what to do if something gets stuck on it. Since I'm probably going to wet my pan a few more times, I'll go ahead and take it off the stovetop. Once you've evaporated the water, you'll want to re-oil the inside of your pan just to form a protective barrier against any moisture, as well as to help keep it from rusting. I'm also going to recommend that if you make the leap over to cast iron, that you also get some nice wooden utensils. You can use metal utensils, but I would recommend doing so sparingly because it's going to scratch your seasoning and make it more likely that your cast iron could be damaged. Whereas with the wood, you can scratch it all day long and nothing's going to happen. Now, let's say you cooked something in your pan and accidentally got it burned on. It's not as big a deal as you might think. It's actually pretty decent to take care of. So what you'll want to do if that does happen is you'll want to fill your cast iron pan about a quarter of the way full with water. And then you'll heat that on the stovetop and let it come to a boil. Essentially what you're doing is you're deglazing the pan to get any stuck on foods off. It actually works really good in most cases. Now sometimes you might accidentally end up with something a little more serious. And when that happens, you don't want to use iron wool or a sponge or anything that can be too overly abrasive, because that's going to scratch your seasoning and or scratch your pan. So when that happens, I like to use salt. Salt is a natural abrasive. You can just sprinkle it in and take a rag or a paper towel with some oil and then just scrub the inside of your pan until some of those stuck on areas get clean. Then you'll just rinse it with water and oil it again as normal before you put it, before you store it again. Most of this should keep rust from forming on your cast iron. However, if you leave it in the pantry for a long time and neglect it, and do notice that some rust has started, there is a way to clean that rust off. Essentially, we're going to get our salt again. We'll sprinkle it just as we did with the salt and oil cleaning method, only we'll probably get a lot more salt in the pan this time. And then we're going to use lemon juice as a way to get that rust off. I actually learned this in Boy Scouts when I was just a little kid. Lemon juice and salt can and will clean rust out of a cast iron skillet. I just saw someone say hello, so hello to whoever that was. I'm trying to do this on my phone. I was trying to get it on the PC earlier, but I was having audio issues, so I apologize for the low quality. But back to removing rust from a cast iron skillet. Now that we've added our salt and our lemon juice, we'll just scrub it and the rust should come right off. And then once we've cleaned off the rust, we'll just rinse our cast iron skillet as normal, heat it on the stove, and then once the water evaporates, we'll just cover it in a layer of oil. I realize that you came in late, but I do have a little bit of time to answer any questions real quick. And if you do want to see how to season a cast iron skillet, this video will be available after the live stream. All right, well, if there are no questions, I'll just go ahead and recap what we've been over. We covered, okay, that sounds good, but yeah, we essentially just covered seasoning at the start, and then we went about how to wash your cast iron pan after normal daily use. We also covered what to do if you do happen to get food stuck on, how to deglaze it, uh, so that you can get some of that off. What type of abrasives to avoid and which ones you can use. If you absolutely have to use something abrasive, it's just a simple salt and oil mixture. And then we covered, lastly, what to do if the worst should happen and your pan should develop some, and your pan should develop some rust. Um, and lastly, and I want to stress this, remember after doing any type of cleaning with cast iron, you are going to want to evaporate any water and always re-oil it when you're done to create a protective layer on it and to keep it working good as new. And I think that about covers everything. It was very nice for you to, I'm sorry, I stutter. It was very nice for you to join me. And if you do have any questions that this video doesn't cover, feel free to leave them in the comments and I will answer them as quickly as I can. Thank you for joining me. Have a nice day. And